And we're back.
Yep, back in the saddle again. After a 1 week hiatus, we are back.
Yeah, we do apologize for missing last week, but I was out of town, and then I think you went out of town.
Yeah, I went out of town. You got back in town like on Saturday.
Yep.
But I went out of town on Friday because we could even do like a super late one. But yeah, then I wasn't back in town till Sunday night. So yeah, it was not planned. We were planning to work around it. In fact, you had texted me that we weren't going to be able to do it, and then we were going to be able to do it, and then we weren't going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It was just, we had too many moving parts. So.
You know, I felt like it was one of those trap scenarios where I was like, because Marcy had worked the 2 days previously, and she worked that day, so she got home about 8:00. And I had my bag, I had my clothes picked out. She already had stuff.
Because you were leaving the next morning.
The next morning. And so I was like, I thought I had everything ready to go. And I told her, I said, we're doing a podcast tonight. And she was like, oh, okay. All right. And I could kind of tell because, it
was like, oh, you are.
Yeah. It's like, and I knew she was going to be, typical before vacation, you're frantic. And so I was like, and so then that's later. I could tell we were still getting stuff together. I was like, yeah, this one this might need to be a bullet I dodge. And so I was like, yeah, we ain't gonna be able to do it tonight. And then I told her, I said, we're not doing the episode tonight. And she was like, just do the episode tonight. That's fine. So then I was like, all right, we'll do the episode tonight.
I've heard that. Like, it's fine. Go. Yeah, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
My wife will say that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, that's not, that does not actually mean do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why I was confused because she genuinely seemed like she was like, it's fine, do it. And so I was like, yeah, this is a trap. This is a trap.
That's a total trap.
Yeah. So I was like, all right.
So that's a veteran married guy, recognition there that you're like, no, I know a trap when I see one.
Yep. A newlywed guy had been like, all right, thanks, honey. Yeah. And then he would be, getting a voodoo hex placed on his head while he was out here. So that is why we did not get to come on last week. But we did have the little MIA episode for you guys. And I did tell Bobby Lee, it looks like nobody left a rating. So we're a little mad coming at you guys. Little mad. We're actually kind of mad about it, but
yeah, very angry.
We're furious. But we are back in action, and I guess we got some more. Well, I'll take another question, and then Bobby Lee and I also we got to dive into the next lineup of our show we've been talking about.
Farmer Wants a Wife, man. I don't know of any other podcast that is breaking it down like we do.
I don't either. They're missing the gold mine.
I don't go out there searching out other podcasts that are breaking
looking
it down.
for it.
But I'm going to go ahead and say we might be the podcast authority on Farmer Wants a Wife.
I think so. And I think we're probably, I would actually venture to say if there's other podcasts discussing this show, it's probably women kind of like from the Bachelor standpoint. So I feel like we bring a much more testosterone-fueled view of this show.
You're right. I think that's a safe assumption.
Yeah, the other people discussing it probably don't have any hair on their chest. If they do, it's a medical problem.
Yeah.
I think there's something where like they can get hairy nipples and there's something wrong with them. Or like I don't want to say something wrong with them in case we got a woman listening that has hairy nipples, but
we're not here to judge.
We're not here to judge you.
Yeah. As long as they're female, they're all nice.
Biologically female.
Yes. Born, raised, and still female.
Free of gender dysphoria.
Yes. That's true.
All right. Well, before we get into that, let's take a question here. All right. I don't think. Wait a minute. That's the one. All right. Did we do the one talking about the sweep tub setup?
Yes, we did. Talking about the bud box for the sweep tub.
Yes. All right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I think we did that one. All right. Okay. This one is, all right. Well, he wrote in, we answer every question. This one's kind of, it's tough. And this one, because there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. But again, we appreciate all your questions. So we will take them no matter what they are. Gavin Beetle writes in, "Hi guys, had a question for y'all. I'm 21. It's a magical age, and from Idaho, and I'm wondering how I can start ranching or how to start my own ranch. I love both your channels and love this podcast." First off, appreciate you writing in, Gavin. That's awesome. It's awesome at 21-year-old. This is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Now, on the Idaho scene, neither one of us have a whole lot to offer there, but on the ranching, I'm going to let Bobby Lee. I'll let you go, and then I've got something that I did kind of recently listen to that I'll share.
So I think, the obvious first big hurdle, which is going to be true no matter where you are, is securing land to lease or own, or maybe a combination of the two, depending on, where to get started out, which, let's go ahead and make the assumption that he has nothing other than ambition.
Yeah.
I would imagine land prices, kind of based on some stuff I've recently listened to, talking more about the West, are
high,
outrageous. I know that's typically a part of the country. If you're grazing cattle, you need lots of acreage to graze, even just a few head, as compared to what we're able to do here in the part of the world where it actually rains occasionally.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What do they get, like 16 inches of rain?
I mean, I'm sure it depends on what exact part of Idaho, but it's going to be significantly less than our
56, 57.
Yeah. 55 to 60 inches or so we get here.
That's a wild thing for me to even think about. The fact that,
well, and what I had kind of hinted at, and I'm not going to get too far off on it, but like a lot of that land out there, especially, when you talk more about like farming and growing crops, and they grow a lot of high value crops, it's extremely fertile and productive if they can get it irrigated.
Yeah.
Which that's a problem too, because the water rights are a big deal out there. And so that makes some of their property values extremely high. And I guess there can be an extreme range, because if you've got property that doesn't have any water rights for irrigation, like you may just literally own a piece of desert that's holding the world together.
Yeah.
And not.
That's pretty wild to think that the soil is very fertile, but it's just like essentially a desert.
Yeah. They don't have the water.
Was that some of that glacier soil?
Man, I'm not a soil scientist. But it has to be something, because I know certainly that part of the country I've traveled. I've actually never set foot in Idaho. It's one of the few states I've never set foot in. I take that back. I may have actually barely stepped foot in there, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not an expert in Idaho. I've been to, I think am I correct in like West Yellowstone is part of Idaho? I believe it is, because it's like the northwest corner of Wyoming.
Utah's the closest.
If I've been in Idaho, it has been a technicality that I've actually crossed over. Spent a little time in Wyoming and Montana, and
some say Utah's the closest.
Oregon and Washington. But anyway, they grow a lot of really high value crops.
They're big potato, big potato.
Obviously, potato and stuff like that. So obtaining ground, I mean, that's going to be step number one. If you're not in any position to do that just yet, I would say kind of the same advice we've given a lot of times: find a rancher in your area that needs help, and whether you take a full-time job with them, part-time job, obviously we don't know if he has an experience, but learning the ropes, getting the experience, just getting your feet wet, that sort of thing. Maybe you have the experience, but if you're lucky enough to find somebody that's willing to take you on and even possibly say, well, hey, I'm going to rent you a small, parcel to, start out with just a few head for you to graze on. You do. And again, out there, sometimes you need 50 acres of pasture for just a few head. I don't know their exact grazing situation, but anyway, here's a block of ground. Do what you will with it. Buy you a few bred cows, calve them out, or buy you some stocker calves to just graze out there. Whatever you think could work for you. But I'd say if you don't have any experience, definitely finding an outfit, and if obviously at 21, you obviously you may already have a family, but if you're still single, don't have a family, and so you're not, don't have the ball and chain of a lot of debt and other people depending on you, take a risk. Take a possibly a lower paying job without great benefits. Working as a ranch hand. Maybe if you do already have a young family, well, yeah, you may need to still keep that job in town that comes with the benefits and do that. Be the weekend warrior kind of thing. But
well, that's something that I think is valued. A guy that's truly wanting to learn, I still think, and there's a weird thing. Nobody wants to do anything today unless they get paid to do it, even if it's something they think they want to do. And it's kind of like the internship thing. Interns don't make shit. They barely make any money. But the goal is they're interning and they're learning the knowledge with the end goal of getting into that position. And so, let's say, I'm definitely on the same page. I think you need to go work for somebody just because there's a lot of shit to learn. And I was having a conversation today with Mr. Cookie. We were talking about how, like, when I went through tech school and all this stuff, you're just essentially scratching the surface, and then you learn everything on the job. And,
oh yeah, and that's true. Hell, that's true with veterinary school.
Yeah,
like you spend 4 years in school, spend an ass load of money being taught all this stuff, and then you learn
being 90%, liberally indoctrinated.
It's not. And again, I'm like an old head here. It was 14 years ago, near about when I graduated, but it was definitely more liberal than the general. I went to University of Tennessee, even on the vet school campus or even on the ag campus, it's a little more liberal than the state as a whole. But you learn the majority of the stuff that I use on a day-to-day basis today, when I'm right in kind of my prime years as a veterinary practitioner, I learned after I graduated. Now, I clearly had to go to school at one because you have to have a license. But yeah, I learned a very good foundation. You learned a very good knowledge base, that sort of stuff. But and there's nuances to vet school where, we learned about a lot of crazy diseases and stuff you'll never see in the real world, or you might see it once or twice.
Yeah.
And then the shit you see every single day, you barely learn about it all in vet school because it's almost beneath them to worry about those simple diseases and whatnot. But anyway, it doesn't matter if you're talking about, tech school, being a machinist, I'm sure being a firefighter, they can only teach you so much in fire school as opposed to what happens when the shit really hits the fan out there in a real life situation. It's going to be no different for ranching too.
Yeah. And
you can watch, and hell, I want you to watch YouTube. Go to Hurricane Creek Farms. Watch that. I don't know how much of it will apply to ranching in Idaho versus a cattle farmer in Tennessee. But you can do all that sort of stuff, but there's nothing replaces getting out there, getting your boots dirty and learning from somebody who, especially right there in your region, because I say it all the time, like the way things that work there are completely different than things that work here.
Yeah.
Hell, things that work on this side of the county are different than the way they work on the other side of the county. There's those just in that short a distance. But anyway.
Well, and two, even if the guy, like the thing that I see with it, and let's say you do, got a family or whatever, and when I hinted at the part of taking a non-paid position, you show up on, even if it is just on the weekends, the rancher needs help, offer helping out. Don't ask for wages. And eventually I feel like if the guy is worth a crap, he'll kind of start sharing wisdom with you. He may start paying you a little bit and open doors and opportunities for you.
And I've told this to some of my employees, which they're paid, but in the past I'll tell them, hey, I want my problem whenever I'm thinking about you is like, holy crap, how do we figure out a way to compensate this person more? I want to be worried about being able to keep you because you're that valuable to me. And so, if you do take a non-paid position, say with a small rancher in your area, make it to where they're worried about, holy crap, we got to figure out a way to pay this guy. Because he's that good at what he's doing. And I'm going to, just for the sake of this discussion, assume that 21 years old, single, maybe you got a girlfriend, but you don't have a family you're supporting. Go for it. go for it. Don't, I mean, and it's easy for me to say at nearly 40 years old, but like right now, don't worry about the money side of it yet. Now, again, obviously, if you're like most of us and you are looking forward to having a family one day, that will come. But if you spend 2 or 3 years doing this, and even if it goes nowhere, like all of a sudden you're 25 and you still have $0 in your bank account and you figured out it's not going to work for you,
You got plenty of time
yeah,
to shift
you are
gears.
fine. You are totally fine.
Yeah.
You're better than 99% of people come out of college because they have negative dollars in
Yeah.
their bank account.
Well-
they owe a shit ton of student debt, and
you have a trajectory of where you want to go. How many people, like the amount of people I think of that go to college that don't even know what they want to do, they end up spending 4 to 5 years in college and they get out and they never use their degree.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, they didn't even know their trajectory. So the fact that this is what you want to pursue, and working for a guy or seeing it, that'll give you the opportunity to be like, okay, is this something I actually do want to do? And on the other side of the coin too is, it'll teach you the basics too. You'll get to see how a ranch functions. Now there might be things that you see this dude do that you're like, that's kind of silly, or, I don't want to do that. And, keep note of that and kind of, when the moment comes, you can make it your own, I guess is the thing because I mean, I'm trying to think, like if I went and shadowed some other farmers in this area, some of them do practices that I'd be like, I don't really want to do that. That's like that's not the way that I want to farm. And, but I would still learn a lot of other important aspects like timing of spraying, timing of planting, like the depth, the variety choice and all that. There's a lot that I would learn from them that I wouldn't, if I were to say, well, they do some tillage and I'm a no-till guy, and I just wrote them off for that, I would miss out on a lot of other things I could learn from them. So, like if you see a guy and you're like, he's got some Brahma cattle and you're like, well, I only want to mess with Angus. Like, you're going to miss out on.
Well, and you're still going to learn stuff there that's going to apply to you, even if you learn what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And that may be some of the most valuable lessons you learn. And even if, you do it for 2 or 3 years and you figure out, I don't have any family land coming available. The barrier to entry in terms of purchasing or even leasing land is too high. You're still going to gain lots of experience. It may allow you to be in the cattle industry, or, but outside of being a rancher yourself, and maybe that's not what you want to do, but, working, elsewhere, but still within the industry, still getting to work with cattle, but maybe just not even being a rancher yourself.
Yep.
So, and think about it. And I truly believe, the old saying, your education, whether it's a formal education in the form of getting a degree and having a diploma, or just on the job education, you're getting, helping out your neighbor. That's one of the few things in life nobody can ever take away from you. Is that knowledge and that education you get. So anyway.
Yep. Yeah.
Go for it. I would say go for it. We can't speak a lot to the kind of intricacies of ranching in Idaho.
Yeah.
I say we can't speak a lot to it. We really can't speak at all.
I didn't say you really any of it. The only thing I can tell you is like Steve and Tyler, man, you don't know if you like it until you try it. And, cause that's, Steve and Tyler's method on that.
I've never heard that exact quote from him, but.
Well, I think his quote was a little different. He tried having sex with a man, and so he didn't like it. So he knew he wasn't gay.
Well, that's I guess that's the only way you'll ever know. That's the only way you'll know for sure. And I'm probably going to die never knowing for sure.
Well, the other side of that coin I think about from a very wise man himself is Rodney Carrington. And Rodney Carrington had a friend that was gay. And he said that they used to go, I guess they'd go fishing together or something sometimes. And the guy would be like, Rodney, you need to try it. And Rodney would be like, I don't want to try it. He'd say, but you don't know if you like it until you try it. And he said, well, I've never took a hammer and smashed the tip of my penis before, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like that either. So, you can look at it from either side, but you need to try it out. Not the gay thing, but try out the cattle thing with the rancher. See what you want to do. I mean, yeah, dude, 21 years old, hell, man. Like I said, if you get in it, you spend a couple years in it, you turn around, you're 25 years old, 26 years old. I mean, hell, I know guys in their 40s that have started new, completely career change.
I would say, again, definitely, if you're not having a family, you're already having to support, don't get fixated, on the compensation right now or any of that right now.
The size,
I can't stress that enough. Like that, even if it's a year or two into it, at some point, and you'll have plenty of people in your ear about, you need to get on with your, life, do something that's gonna, could possibly turn into a career. And that day may come where you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, all right, I need to move on from this. It's not going anywhere. But at 21, if you're single, go for it.
You need to watch a lot of Yellowstone to learn about how they do things out there. You need to get in with the livestock agency. You just kill the people you don't like.
Yeah. You encounter any object that you just
send a bull into a bar if you have a bad run-in with somebody.
Yeah. Happens all the time out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, that seems to be the norm out there. It's a little more hardcore here in Tennessee. We just don't like to show it. But no, man, again, we do thank you for writing in. And we wish you the best of luck, man. It's awesome. 21 years old. Like I said, thanks, Gavin, for writing into us. And let us know. Keep us updated on how it goes. Message us again on here. Kind of keep us updated on what you got going on. But that's what we would recommend. And the last thing I'll say on it too, if you really want to be in the ranching world, and let's say Idaho, the things are crazy expensive and all this, I don't know how tied down you are to where you're at, but I'm also a guy that's like, look, if this is something you seriously want to do, this is something you seriously want to do, then don't be afraid to seek out opportunities in other states.
Right.
Like, I don't know, like Oklahoma or some of these other places, like, be willing to kind of look around. I've kind of talked about it with row crop. I'm all about new blood coming in, but you also got to remember that it is a business. So like if I had if there was the town square here and there's 4 sandwich shops on the town square, and I'm also a sandwich maker, from a business standpoint, it probably wouldn't be a wise move to open a 5th sandwich shop in the town square.
Especially if the next town over has no town.
Has none.
None, or one. Yeah.
Yes. And that is the one thing that I do see that's kind of like, in our area, is kind of becoming a bit of an issue with the farming, especially on the row crop. It's like, all right, we keep having people jump in. Nobody's ever getting out. Operations are trying to grow. And it's like, dang, man, we're like, we're all getting like crammed in and bottlenecked. And it's like, man, at some point, it's almost like you gotta look a little bit elsewhere.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to kind of branch out a little bit if it's something you really want to pursue and are passionate about. So, but yeah, that's about all I got on that.
Yeah. Yeah. As simple as it sounds, just go for it.
Yep. Well, yeah, Gavin, we appreciate that, man. I was going to actually talk about on the equipment side. That's one of the cool things I'd say with the ranching. I feel like you can kind of ease into it pretty well. The bar of equipment wise is not. You got to have the setup.
Yeah, you're going to need more. Depending on what kind of land you come into, in terms
if you got to fence it or something.
Yeah, the infrastructure with fencing and like water again may be the issue. Like the farm that I most recently bought that we put cattle on, and was mostly fenced, but still, that was probably my biggest expense once I bought it was getting the fences all up to par, and then the little bit of it that was not fenced. That was by far my biggest expense.
Did you ever get your neighbors to quit cutting the fence?
We don't have to worry about water. I only had it where it was truly cut, I'm pretty sure, one time. And I've walked every bit of fence on that place over the last couple of weeks because one little update, I think I may have said a couple weeks ago, we got our heifers in last week.
Good deal.
So yeah, I have walked every inch of that place, as far as my perimeter fences anyway. I guess really we checked all the cross fences too. But anyway, I only had one real instance of that. When I bought that place, the previous landowner was kind of absentee. They lived in our area, but they didn't do anything with it. They were just letting guys cut the hay off of it, it's whatever. And so in terms of the hunting, it was basically public ground. And when I bought it, like there were deer stands everywhere.
Yeah.
And I knew this guy didn't deer hunt, and he didn't formally give anybody permission to deer hunt, but he also didn't keep people run off. So kind of by extension of that, it was just public land.
Yeah.
And when we first bought it, we had, which was funny, word got around, obviously small town, they knew it had sold, and like the deer stands kind of disappeared, and not a single person came to me and was like, "Hey man, I got some deer stands out there," and I would have said like, "Yeah, come get your stand,"
Yeah.
Even though I'm pretty sure you never have permission to have it there in the first place.
Yeah.
It wasn't my property when you put it up. Just come get your stuff, whatever. I'd rather stay on good terms with everybody.
Yeah.
But they just all disappeared, slowly. So like, well, yeah, a lot of people trespassed without permission to get their deer stands back. But, I did find a spot one time, and I was seeing red, like because they cut my fence. Like it's one thing to like climb over the fence and
loosen a strand or something.
Be trespassing, which that's low down enough.
Yeah.
But when you cut the fence, you're potentially,
releasing your animals or livestock all out.
Like I have money on the line right there.
That hadn't happened anymore because Bobby Lee took that guy to the train station.
That's right. Hey, so y'all keep that in mind if you're ever thinking about it.
Yeah, that's what we do around here. Yeah. Like I said, we're a little worse than they are on Yellowstone. All right, well, we teased in the beginning here we were going to touch on our show. Farmer Wants a Wife.
We actually, since we talked about it, I guess 2 weeks ago, I had one of our listeners reached out. He was almost on the show.
Really? What? Really?
Well, I say that. I may be embellishing a little, but David, and he actually screenshot and sent it to me. The casting company that was, I guess, in charge of casting it, messaged him. So he told me, he said, I heard you and Logan talking about Farmer Wants a Wife. He said they reached out to me about casting a while back. He said, I thought it was a joke. And he shared the screenshot. And the guy asked him, said, we're casting for a new show. Are you single? And he shot him down pretty quick. Said, I'm not single. But he thought it was like a scam possibly. But it was like, I was like, I'll be dang. We nearly had a listener on the show.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Dang.
But man, I'm kind of offended they didn't reach out to me.
I know. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, good looking guy.
You wouldn't have been able to, you'd have been like, could you have played it off? Would you have been like, yeah, I'm single? I don't know. I'm going to assume they probably sought me out. And they were like, this dude's definitely taken.
And they see that I shared, my wife on social media. They're like, God damn,
Yeah.
He'd have been,
all groups of the girls would have just picked this guy.
I mean, just the viewers, that I would have brought in with these looks. But now, my wife and I got her to sit down and watch episode 2 with me. So
did she not watch the first one?
She didn't, and then I wasn't, I guess, patient enough for her to go back and watch it. But she kind of dove in on episode 2, which, of course, I told y'all last time that she's actually from the exact same tiny little dot on a map town as Alan.
Yeah.
And so I knew. I was like, there's zero chance. She's like, I don't know him. I was like, well, there's no chance that somebody
your families don't. Yeah.
And sure enough, like the first person she texted one of her cousins, like, yes, like they know him. She's like, in fact, when they were filming it, which apparently, and you kind of pick up on this if you're watching it, I think they must have filmed it last fall.
Yeah, I noticed it was kind of cold.
Yeah, it was kind of getting cooler.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, like, I mean, again, it's a tiny little community. It's like we would see like the film crew out and stuff. And so I was like, well, I'll be danged.
That's pretty neat. Well, Alan did redeem himself.
Well, and I was going to go ahead and say, I feel bad for hating on our boy from Georgia.
Oh, I told you I liked him.
Well, and I was
hold on. Before what happened?
Georgia thing against him.
What happened on the comment? If you're listening here on our YouTube video, we had a Georgia fan write in.
Oh, did they delete their comment, I guess?
Well, it's the weird thing where it showed like all the comments. Remember, I said, how many comments do you see?
Yeah, because we couldn't see it. There was a glitch or something on our...
Something happened, and we had somebody write in, and he was kind of poking at you about the Georgia thing. And he was like, and it was a really, it was a funny comment. We enjoyed the comment. But,
oh, yeah. We can take the friendly banter back and forth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But now we can't, it won't show up anymore. If you're listening, man, what happened? Like, you didn't offend us. So I don't know we don't know what happened. The comment's gone.
Well, and yes, on that subject, obviously, yeah, reach back out to us. But my first impression when I saw the TV show just in general, I was like, are these going to legit be real farmer dudes? Or are they like total posers that are just getting on a TV show? I think they're all legit. Like
I do too. Yeah, I do too.
I think they did a hell of a job casting because after, and again, we're a couple of episodes behind. I think by the time
we both have finished episode 2.
Yeah, and so by the time I think this episode of Talk Dirt to Me drops, there might already be 4 of them out. So we'll catch up.
Yeah.
But they're all likable dudes, and they're all legit, like farm, ranch, whatever term you want to use, dudes. Yeah, Hunter, I'll give him credit because he didn't. He's a Georgia guy, but he didn't go to college at Georgia. He actually rodeoed, I think, in Oklahoma, college rodeoed.
Yeah.
And then tells this terrible story about how his best friend and team roping partner got killed. Like, oh, damn. Like,
Yep.
I mean,
that was brutal.
They, which of course, I mean, it's TV. So they knew putting that stuff in there, like, oh man, it just hits you right in the heart and you hear that. And so then you're rooting for him, and man, I want him to find a wife and the love of his life.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think they've all done.
Landon's the dorkiest.
Landon, which one?
He's the Oklahoma guy.
Oklahoma.
He's kind of a dweeb. Marcy, we watched it right before we did this episode, and she was like, I don't like that guy. She was like, he's just a dork.
See, I've kind of liked him. Our Alan, our Tennessee boy,
got to root for him. But
after episode 1, he was like, man, I don't know. He doesn't. And again, I've never been on a TV dating show, and my wife would be the first to tell you, I didn't have a ton of game. I was lucky to land the woman I did. I was no player back in my day by any means. But yeah, and it's got to be incredibly awkward doing it for TV. But he even admitted, like in episode 1, he's like, I don't think this is going well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was, because that's what
I thought he kind of redeemed himself once they got on the farm.
Yeah. He was back in his element, I think, his element a little bit. But now,
but I found myself liking all of them. No homo, but
no, yeah, they're all likable guys. Like I said, the dude Landon, he's the dorkiest one of them. The dude from Georgia might be about, him or the guy. What's the last guy's name? Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan's North Carolina.
All right,
I think Ryan's the smoothest.
I was gonna say
he's the best with the ladies. Like, I think legitimately all his ladies are legitimately want to be with him.
And I think he legitimately wants to be with all of the ladies.
Well, he certainly gives that off, and I think that those things go hand in hand.
He's kissed every one of them that he's been with so far.
Yeah, he may have. Hunter's probably the guy that, aside from Allen being a Tennessee, I'm probably rooting for the hardest now.
What a dynamic shift. You even got a red shirt on for Georgia.
Right. That's right. If I start barking, y'all know I've totally lost it. But it's that sad story. It's like, man, that just hits you right in the feels. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
They're out there in the back of the pickup truck and
that was pretty good. I like the backup, the pickup truck setup.
It gets a little cheesy with that. Like almost a large majority of my friends are farmers. I don't know anybody who's ever had like a candlelight, like dinner in the bed of an old pickup truck out in the pasture. And I know some friends who did some pretty cheesy stuff back in the day trying to get a little action, and I don't think it ever got quite that cheesy.
I think Marcy and I have. I better spare the details. I might get in trouble.
Yeah,
that'll be one. I can tell you. I can share the story off air. I got to keep some things.
Oh yeah. No,
off air. But no, the dude Alan, I gotta hand it to him. He was the only one with the gonads to send somebody home on the first
he
time.
was, because they did all take the easy way out. Because I noticed that too when they got the note or whatever from the show directors, whatever, that
you could.
They kind of worded it. It was like you could send someone home.
Yeah,
like a bunch of them took the cop out of.
We'll do that.
You know what? And it all got all dramatic. It's like, I've decided not to send anyone home.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, like all that drama for nothing.
Yeah.
And, he totally sent one gal home.
Now, I knew I could see that coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
A spirituality coach. That's what her career was.
Yeah, I don't even know.
A spirituality coach. What is that?
You just watched it tonight. It's been about 10 days since I watched the episode, but yeah.
It said spirituality coach. So, she wasn't like a preacher. Spirituality coach. That's I don't even know what that is. And so, and then when they were doing the kiss of death for her was obviously when he had them go out and they were loading the limbs, and she was like, she didn't hardly do anything. She put a big limb, it wouldn't even. It was just
some of that too. I wonder how the
staged.
They edit it to make her look, she wasn't doing anything.
The best thing going for her the night that he sent her home looked like she had a pretty good set of honkers on her. I will hand her that. But
that counts for a lot.
That does. But Alan stood strong.
In the end, we're all just animals.
We are.
But no, yeah, that one. You're right. That is a good point. Alan was the only one that had enough sack on him to go ahead and say, if something must be done eventually, it might as well be done immediately.
Yep.
If it ain't going to work out, let's go ahead and thin the herd, cut bait, and move on.
Yeah, and he's got the chick that's obsessed with him, that Cassidy Joe,
the one that he took home on the initial date.
They showed her without makeup on. She looks so much better without makeup on. She puts on
I don't know that I even noticed that.
Well, you probably didn't recognize her. You were probably like, oh, he's got a new chick here. I told Marcy, I was like, she looks like you could punch her in the face and it would leave an indent in her face because her makeup is so thick. And then, when it showed her, when she was helping, she didn't have makeup on. Man, she looked a lot better. But he's got another good looking chick.
I know it's very cheesy and corny to say something like this, but I tell my wife that all the time. I'm like I can tell when she's wearing makeup and it changes her look. But I'm legitimately just as attracted to you when you're not wearing makeup. It does not matter to me. If we're going to a wedding or something, and it's generally expected you got to put on makeup, go for it. But as a general rule, on a day-to-day basis, you don't need to feel like you need to put on a bunch of makeup.
I feel like that's a shift in our age, our generation, kind of, because I think the older generation, the women were expected to put on makeup all the time. I kind of feel like that
fix themselves up. Yeah, I can see that a little bit. Yeah, I'm just at the end of the day, that does not really matter to me.
No, I tell Marcy all the time, my favorite outfit she wears is nothing at all.
You kind of took the words out of my mouth. That's Marcy's favorite outfit of mine. Just kidding. Oh, that's what. But legitimately, I tell my wife that all the time. I really don't care about anything as long as occasionally, you're wearing nothing. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
That's those of you younger guys out there, when you're married and in your 30s, you've been married for 10, 15 years. Yeah. You get to that point where I don't, it is nice to go out to dinner and you're looking smoking hot, and I'm like, hell yeah, you know, got the trophy wife with me.
Yeah.
But as long as when we get home,
that is actually it's almost more of a show off thing. Whenever your wife gets fixed up, you go somewhere.
Oh, yeah, it's not even for you specifically. It's for
you're
you
like,
to show
yeah,
off
y'all
to
check it out. This is who I'm going home with.
Yeah. I'm bald and out of shape, and yeah.
Wait. Well, there you go. Well,
Logan's not bald or out of shape, so he doesn't have to come back to that. But yeah, I'll often do wonder that. Like when I'm out, my wife, I'm like, how many people are looking at us and be like, damn,
how did that happen?
Is he either packing some major heat or does he have a lot of money?
And you just say both.
It's either both or none of the above. And I have a cattle habit, so I can guarantee you it ain't the money thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. If somebody wondered that about me, I'd be like, I think of the old commercial. I'd be like, no, I'm just in debt up to my eyeballs.
Yeah. Well, that's what my wife would tell you is that that it ain't his money. He's in debt up to his eyeballs.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a lot of bills, but not the kind like cash bills. Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I've been trying to hone in which chicks I'm like, which ones do I like? Well,
that's kind of my thing. And again, I feel kind of homo saying it. Like I'm much more emotionally invested with the dudes, which I guess that's the whole point of the show.
Oh, yeah.
But like none of them have like, of all the girls, which again, they get a fraction of the screen time each guy gets, but none of them have a chick where I'm just like, man, it's got to be her.
Yeah.
Like I'm not 100% invested in any of them. So I imagine that'll change as they thin the herd down.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like with Alan. I'm kind of between that chick that wears way too much makeup, and then there was this other chick. She got dark hair. Kelsey, I think is her name.
So it's been about 10 days since I watched.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched it, so it's kind of fresh in my mind, but I still can't even remember her name. But I mean, I hate to say this again, but she had pretty big boobs on her, and but I'm kind of between those two.
Yeah. And for any women out there we have listening, there are a few things that matter to us, and a lot of things that you worry about don't matter to us.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, they don't. And
makeup obviously being something we've already cracked on.
Yeah, really don't care about. But the Kelsey chick, I think it was her. I'm between them two. The Georgia guy, I was actually kind of rooting for that chick that like got all weird on him.
And nearly left.
Yeah. I was like, because I was like,
yeah, she is. Well, I remember thinking too. It's like, man, yeah. Which again, I hate to be so professional, but I'm like, yeah, she's pretty hot, you know?
Yeah, that was my thoughts too. I finally quit saying that because Marcy and I were watching. I was like, man, that chick, she'd be a good one for this guy. She's pretty, and she looks good. And like I kept saying that, and so finally I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna quit saying this because I feel like at some point she's gonna be like, you just think all of them are pretty on here. Like, is there anyone you don't think is pretty? Now there is a couple that I don't think are that pretty.
There are a few that I'm just like, man, you know.
Out of 8 women, I feel like you could have honed it down to a better crowd. But yeah, I'm not really digging any of the chicks that Ryan has.
You know, I would kind of agree with that. I wouldn't say it that he doesn't have any, but yeah, it seems like. Which hey, maybe those were because I think they matched them up originally from like their online dating profiles.
Apparently, yeah.
Like tried to get them with women that were relatively compatible. So hey, maybe he, which I don't know how much that goes into physical, you know, the way they look, you know, but yeah,
they're men.
Well, and yeah, they probably did have a say so, but
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I think you're generally right. None of his where I'm just like, oh yeah, you know. She's smoking hot kind of thing.
Yeah, I think probably Alan and what was the Georgia guy's name?
Hunter.
Alan and Hunter, I think, have the best looking groups of women.
Yeah. Landon has some. His isn't bad either though.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of the chick that kind of seems to be rising to the top there. Is the blue hair, and I don't really dig that.
Well, and that kind of throws me off too because immediately you see the blue hair and you think, yeah, raging liberal. I mean, let me just cut right to it. I was trying not to make it so blunt, but yeah. And that is painting with too broad of a brush. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But it was funny. Ryan did in this episode there. It's like, because it would be awkward. It would be awkward doing the show. But I appreciate it because, again, man, look, I mean, if somebody gets mad, like if somebody listens to this show and they get offended the fact that we're like, this chick had big boobs or something, like, look, we're just dudes being dudes on that. And
there are like hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there. Just download something else.
Yeah, go listen to something else. But Ryan, like if somebody actually watches that show as well, the date that chick Ryan was with, like he gets done, they do their little date thing, and she has to go up to the room, and she turns and walks up the room, and the camera goes to him, and he's like, nice. He's like watching her walk up the stairs, and you can see he kind of mouthed something to himself, and it wasn't, I know for a fact that the dude didn't look up and was just like, what a wonderful night. He was probably like, damn, like you could tell he had that kind of,
oh yeah,
he was enjoying the view.
Look, we're dudes are dudes. I can go ahead and tell you there are the list of things that truly motivate us is quite short.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
She was walking away. He was admiring her ass. I mean, that's pretty much all it comes down to.
Yep. What's the old saying, man? You hate to see them leave, but you love to see them walk away.
Love watching them go. Yeah.
Yep. But no, hey, look, if you listen and you're like, man, I can't believe these dudes are watching this gay show, man, I was
right there with you.
See that, I was that same way, and then we both were making fun of it.
Got into it as a joke, and you're like, damn, I'm kind of emotionally invested.
Yeah, it is actually entertaining. Which apparently there's 12 seasons of this show overseas or something.
I kind of stumbled into that too because I was trying to, I was wanting to research a little more about the guys. Yeah. So I just Googled Farmer Wants a Wife, and it was like all the way back to like 2008. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And yeah, so
they know how to do TV.
So if we get super emotionally invested and then we're just devastated when it ends, we can go back and watch the archived episodes from previous seasons.
It's like British or something, ain't it?
I think it may have originated, yeah.
Well, I did look up Alan on Facebook because I was like, I wonder if this guy's friends with anybody. And I had some mutual friends with him.
Really?
Yeah, I had
That's not shocking. I mean, they're not that far from us.
Yeah. But he did have a pretty nasty Peterbilt on his page, and he had it in the episode.
Right. Well, I think he does some trucking, and he even mentioned in episode
like 2 times
he's like,
a
I'll
week.
be gone. I think he hauls cattle.
Okay.
And
does he do methamphetamine?
That's a stereotype, Logan. Bull haulers do have a reputation, but
they're a hell of a truck driver.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a stimulant.
Yeah,
that's a performance-enhancing drug. But anyway, not recommended at all. We are not endorsing that. I'm pretty sure my wife's family. She was actually. It said that he worked with their spouse. I think he had to quit his job because of the show.
Oh really?
And now, I think hauling cattle maybe. I'm pretty sure it's driving a truck, but I'm pretty sure it's hauling cattle. I'm like, well, hell, again, because one of my preconceived, impressions of the show was, I was like, I bet these guys ain't even really actually farmers, kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Oh, like
he's a cattle hauler.
He's way more legit than I am. Like,
has he been bucked by a bull though?
I don't know. I don't know if has been
has
charged
he earned the title,
sent into the rafters of the barn by.
When are you getting a tattoo of it?
Like now, what should I get? Like a
bull head or something?
Just a bull head tattoo
across your whole back, like a full back piece.
No,
I got a better one. I know you've seen the movie Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Do you remember the painting of white when he's wrestling the bull. He's grabbing the bull by the horns.
I do not remember that at all.
Man, yeah, there's a giant painting on his wall, and they talk about it. He's grabbing a bull by the horns. Now, they've painted him to look basically like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, and so he's wrestling this bull.
So which one is this? Which character?
Ben Stiller's character.
Okay, so the douchebag.
Yes. Yeah, because the chick is like, wow, you actually have a photograph of yourself grabbing the bull by the horns. He's like, yes, of course. And so that's what you need.
I'm really big into like corny, cheesy, like inside joke, like random movie references, stuff like that. You know, where very few people will get it. I don't know if I'm so committed to that to putting it permanently on my body.
Oh man, you need to. If I ever get bucked by a bull, I'm going to get myself with the physique of the Terminator.
This is literally me grabbing the
bull by the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell in his drawing that it's definitely a bull and not a steer?
I don't know. I don't remember if you see the nutsack.
Because to me, I'm going to be like, well, if I'm grabbing a bull,
it better have a big old pair there.
I want it to be apparent that I'm not grabbing a steer by the horns.
Yeah.
Like, this is a bull I'm grabbing by the horns.
You know, I don't remember for sure if there was cojones attached. I bet I can Google it and it'll pull the picture up. But yeah, man, I mean, you know, that's what y'all need to write in and tell Bobby Lee that he needs to get a tattoo.
Well, I can tell you I have exactly 0 tattoos at this point in my life.
So you might as well start now.
It's not like I'm, you know, I don't know who's like the supremely tatted up guy that has 1 million tattoos to reference, but basically any professional athlete that already has 200 tattoos.
There you go.
That is,
but the angle,
that's like the Wall Street bull. Like,
yeah. Now the angle is kind of hiding, but there should be nuts right there.
Yeah, they could have clearly had a pendulous scrotum with testicles in that picture, and they didn't. The fact that they,
but that's the physique.
To put my head on that. I love that. As far as like a print that I would put on my wall in my office, I'm not sure that I'm going to put that on my back.
Dude, that's what we need. We need a listener to Photoshop Bobby Lee's face somehow onto the picture. It's White Goodman is his name in the movie. If somebody listening is like a guru with Photoshop, you have got to Photoshop a picture of Bobby Lee's face onto White Goodman wrestling the bull.
We gotta share that image somewhere.
Yeah. So that, we'll have to post it up.
It's White Goodman?
White Goodman. WHIT.
His first name is White in the movie?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought you might be saying Dwight.
No, yeah, White Goodman.
Just White. Okay.
Yeah, you can get that. That's what he had on the wall in there. She's like, wow, you're literally wrestling a bull by the horns. And he was like, yes, I'm grabbing the bull by the horns.
A little bit of an egomaniac.
Yes, he is. But yeah, I don't even remember what we were talking about before I pulled that up.
Farmer wants a wife, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's, yeah, I mean, you know, guys, hey, you gotta can't take yourself too seriously. That's the way I look at it.
Oh yeah, no, we like to have fun.
I mean, and I'm with you on I have 0 tattoos at this point in my life. I toy with the idea from time to time.
Well, and I'm almost at the point where, again, I'm nearly 40 years old, so I'm kind of. I mean, obviously, people my age get tattoos, but I don't feel like a lot of people are getting their first one at my age, and but no tattoo is the new tattoo.
Oh yeah, it really is.
Like you go back, like in the 90s, like, oh, it was a total bad boy thing to have a tattoo. Like, no, now it's like every Tom, Dick, and Harry has, you know, a half dozen tattoos.
Yeah.
So, now it's almost a point of pride that I'm like, you know, we're used to you were the anomaly if you had one, but yeah.
It is true.
And I'm not anti-tattoo at all. Like,
yeah. No, I mess with Marcy from time to time. Like, there's times when I'm like, I almost wouldn't mind having a sleeve. I'm like, I wouldn't mind just going all out.
Done right, and then certainly in the right setting. Like, oh yeah, I think they look badass.
Marcy would she's told me before she doesn't care if I got a tat. Now, I don't know that she likes my ideas for a tattoo.
Well, I always, because again, I have kind of a goofy, we have a similar sense of humor, like something goofy. Like, getting something like on my ass, like a picture of that, where I could totally, like, the only people that would ever see it would be my wife. And unfortunately, my doctor, when I get my colonoscopy here in another 10 years or whenever.
Yeah. Well, I tell Marcy I'm going to get her name on my ass. I tell her, I was like, I'm going to get your name tattooed on my ass.
Yeah.
Or we could do like Steve-O. Steve-O had your name tattooed on his ass.
See, and I could see myself doing something goofy as hell like that.
Yeah.
You know,
I was like, I mean, I've had this idea for like a very gnarly looking sleeve. And it's kind of like, because I mean, it's no secret. My other show, my logo is a skull. You got the hat on. You got the bearded skull, living fully loaded. I love skeletons and stuff. Like my black truck, I was telling Dad, I'm gonna try to get a guy to paint essentially the Grim Reaper on my Peterbilt, and like that's what I want. I want a Grim Reaper tattoo, but I want it molded into a sleeve, and I don't know how I want it done, but I love that kind of shit. And Marcy's like, I do not want you to have a Grim Reaper tattoo, and I'm like, I love
your grandkids are gonna be so scared of you one day.
They're gonna be like, Grandpa has a scary skeleton on his arm.
Speaking of that, I was listening. It's not really the same subject at all, but you'd mentioned that Ruby Ridge podcast.
Yeah,
series.
Did you listen to it?
I did. I started listening to it in the car on the way back from a softball tournament with my kids. They're like, Daddy, it's scaring us. And it wasn't even the content, but it was just like, you know, the
concept of it,
was
maybe?
like the tone of it. Like,
yeah.
Like the Weaver family was holed up in their cabin. You know.
Did you say it should scare you? This is what the government is capable
I was like,
of.
good. We should all
be afraid.
No, it worries me how the type of questions my 5-year-old asks about the government. He's like, he literally asks questions, and I'm like, bro, the same questions I ask. He's like, well, if the government, he's like, they'll just leave us alone. I was like, buddy, that's what we all would like to think. My wife's like, you got to stop. You're like, you're turning him into an anarchist before
he's 10 years old.
And part of me's like, this country would probably be better off for the next couple hundred years if more kids were taught to. Like I love my country. I don't trust my government for a split second.
And that's the thing people don't understand. You can be a patriot of America and not trust your government.
If you are a patriot, like that's naturally ingrained in us.
Yeah,
like,
you are. Yeah,
I don't think those things are mutually exclusive at all. I think the opposite is true. Like,
yeah.
But anyway, don't want to get off on that.
I agree. Well, that's how, I mean, Marcy does the same to me. She'll be like, you got to stop, because I'll get to saying stuff around the kids.
Oh, my dad at work today, he was like, don't get him wound up. I don't even know what we were talking about, but we got on it. Somebody said something. I was like, you got to remember the government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. Like, it ain't the other way around. And a lot of people think it is the other way around, especially the government. He's like, don't get him wound up. Don't get him wound up.
Drew was probably saying the same thing.
I don't even know that he was there. It was me and maybe one of the employees that kind of got on that subject.
Well, you know what? Levi and Emerson are trained well, because if you say, what does Joe Biden do? They both say, kills babies. I have them both like, that is exactly, they say he kills babies.
I think he eats ice cream.
He eats ice cream. Yeah, I mean, he was real
I
concerned.
really think that's just about all he does. Eats ice cream and somebody changes his diapers for him.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know I probably shouldn't say that about our president, but how many out there of you would bet that he doesn't wear a diaper? He may or he may not. But I would not be willing to bet.
I mean, really, as if I owned stock in Depends, I'd be like, man, we need to get this man on the cup. This is the president of the United States. He wears our diapers. Like, man, if Shaquille O'Neal was wearing Depends, I'd want him in an ad. This is supposedly the most powerful man in the country, and he's wearing our diapers. Yeah. He ought to be in an ad for him.
I doubt his team would agree to let him do that ad.
Oh, man. All right,
Joe or Shaquille.
Yeah. Shaquille would do it out of humor, but I don't know. I was trying to think. Did you last? I don't even remember what our last was. Calumet. That wasn't our last one.
As far as our
American.
I will
company.
have to look it up. Let me queue up.
2 words. Made in America.
Let me see. Yeah, obviously we miss a week, and we
But I forgot.
oh, where's my little list here? There we go. So our last company that we highlighted was. It must have been because I actually don't have it. I don't have Calumet Farms on here.
Gotcha. All right.
Milwaukee Power Tools is the last thing I have.
Okay. You got anything? I got one if you don't.
Well, you go for it then.
All right. I actually discovered this yesterday. And I use them a bunch. Shoop. Have I ever talked about Shoop?
Yeah, Shoop tractor parts.
Yeah.
We haven't ever highlighted them as a company, but.
Well, that's what and not all their stuff is American made, but I thought this was actually kind of cool. So I bought new openers and closers for my planter, and I ordered them through Shoop, and Shoop literally has like everything, shoopparts.com. But I got them, and the blades that were on my planter were Canadian. They were earth metal made in Canada. Nothing against our Canadian brethren.
No, that's probably the next best thing.
Yep.
To be in USA.
But the Shoop.
It's still America. That's North America.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
we'll claim Mexico and Canada as part of North America.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the Shoop blades were made in the USA. I was like, hell yeah.
So they were, because Shoop is a retailer, but this was actually one of their in-house, like their brand, like Shoop brand.
Yeah, it was
too.
and the closers, I'm pretty sure, were also made in the USA. And they're the jagged. I've changed the style. I got away. I'm experimenting with the planter a little bit. I put these they're notched and cupped inwards closing discs to try to get a better seed sole contact. But I was kind of like, I had like a moment of American pride there when I took the Canadian one off, because they're earth metal. They're good blades. And again, like I say, they make good stuff. But I was like, okay, earth metal. And I had a moment, I'm like, man, I hope I'm not taking off these good ones and putting some China shit on there. And then I picked the blade up and looked, and it says made in USA. And I was like, that song, like, I am a real American, like started playing in my head as I was like bolting it on there.
And you might not have noticed it, but I bet there was a bald eagle screeching overhead.
I did hear a faint eagle scream. Yeah, and some fireworks shot off in the distance. Yeah,
I'm dead serious. Like, I have them over my house all the time. Like, and I mean, that's I'm not lying. Like, I really do.
That's the thing I'll miss the most. That farm of Ronnie Ray's that's going to solar panels.
Yeah, I remember you had the video when they were out there.
That was the coolest thing ever. Like, seriously, I wanted to just like say the Pledge of Allegiance. Like, whenever I saw
tell
that.
everybody because not everybody saw your
Instagram
video.
I need to find it and reshare it. But man, yeah, we were out there. I was cutting beans on Ronnie Ray's, and a freaking two bald eagles come flying in the field. One of them is actually chasing a rabbit, and then one lights in the field, and I drove within I bet I was within 20 or 30 yards of it in the combine, and I opened the door, and it was like they're just the most badass bird. Like, it was just sitting there, and I mean, just looking around, and I'm in this loud roaring combine, and I'm just videoing it. I'm like, man. And then when we cut a little more, and I got down, and we were standing in the field, and I mean, literally then both of them were actually chasing the rabbit, and Dad and I were just like, all of us were in shock, man. I mean, we were within 20, 30 yards of a bald eagle.
I don't know that I've ever been that close. I may have told it on here.
One of them lit on my arm.
Yeah.
And my clothes just turned red, white, and blue.
Yeah. Chest hair just started.
It did. I mean, I didn't even have a mustache at the time, and it just grew a mustache.
Yeah. You don't get much more American than that. But of course, where I live, when you look at certainly I'm the Mississippi River is north of my house. That's how far west I am, and we're right there on a lake.
They probably like that lake.
Yeah, and it was last winter. I remember I had shot and killed a coyote out in my pasture.
I thought you were about to say you shot and killed a bald eagle.
Not going to admit to that on there. But no, I'd shot and killed a coyote, and it's like, of course, I don't guess there's any like nice clean coyote. This was legit, like, got to be the oldest, no doubt the oldest coyote I ever killed. 'Cause, of course, the vet in me, I'm examining it, like, it was a female, like her teeth were all worn to nothing, like she had little skin tumors. Like, if this was a dog, and obviously she's eating different, living different than a dog, like I would have been like, this dog's like 10, 12 years plus.
Yeah.
But anyway, of course, I just left her laying there in the pasture, but it's only like one ridge over from my house. Like a day or two later, I've got these two eagles there in a tree. And I'm like, holy hell, like this is awesome. I'm videoing it. They hung around for like 2 or 3 days eating that dead coyote. I was like, okay, I don't know if this is a great symbol of like America, like
Scavenging.
yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, okay, scavenge, take advantage of an easy meal, but like this is like the lowest of the low. Like you're eating this old ass, like, yeah. But
You should
anyway,
have shot one of your best cows and put it out there.
well, you know, crazy enough, I had a calf die there, and I remember I put the calf like not in the same spot, but kind of more out in the pasture where there weren't any cows. I mean, it was dead, you know, whatever. It sucks. But I was like, I'm gonna put this dead calf carcass here mainly because I was like, if I catch a coyote coming in to scavenge on it, I'll shoot
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
it would have probably, it'd have been a hell of a shot. My back porch is probably 300 yards away. But those, because this was similar time frame, those same two eagles were hanging around. They picked on it too.
Really?
Yeah.
So you made a sacrifice to the eagles.
Yeah, they had some veal.
Nice.
They ate that old ass nasty coyote, and then they probably thought they were in heaven. You know,
Yeah.
eating
There you go.
one of my recently dead calves. So
Eating beef.
yeah,
Nice. I thought you were going to say you like threw a net over them and you were going to become a falconeer or whatever they call them people.
yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I don't know that you're allowed to do it with bald eagles, but I had some recently around my house. Now they weren't right there. Like, I mean, literally, like there for a few days, like they were roosted in trees. Like, I wouldn't say totally in my backyard, but like in my pasture, just outside of my actual yard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you see that, you're just like, this is freaking awesome.
Oh man, bald
Well,
eagles
a lot of people
are
around
awesome.
here don't believe me. They're like, we don't have eagles around here. Like, yeah, we do. Like, we're, especially you get closer to the river. Like,
Yeah.
we see 'em. We used to see them duck hunting all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I have seen them quite a few times now, but yeah, that time in Millington, that was the closest I've ever been to one.
Yeah, it's a little bit surreal still when I see one.
Oh yeah, man. I
And
love
it's
seeing
just,
them.
it's usually just 3 or 4 times a year, you know, but when we'll have them, we may have them for a few days. Like they'll
Yeah.
be hanging out.
They come over for dinner.
Well, apparently they do.
They do. They eat veal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's nice. Yeah. No. Well, there you go, guys. That, did we do a company?
Yeah, you did shoot.
Shoot. Yeah. Shit. I'm losing my mind over here. I got bald eagles on
Pour
my
you another
mind.
drink.
Yeah. I got bald eagles on my mind, but, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us. We do ask to leave a rating and review. You know, I feel a little snarty asking you to do that now, but leave us
After
a rating.
everybody stood you up.
They stood me up.
And if by any chance we've got Ryan, Landon, Hunter, or Alan out there in the audience, which I would say, you know, more than likely they are, hey, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on.
I actually thought about it. I bet we could get Alan on the show.
I mean,
I'm gonna say we could reach out.
my wife knows people who know people.
Yeah, we could reach out. Now he's very shy on the show.
Yeah.
You know, the dude from Georgia might be the one to go for.
Yeah, Hunter. Yeah. Hey,
I might even flex some of the social networking this weekend. See if we can't try to get a guy on from the show. That'd be pretty funny.
there we go. There we go. Well, if we have any listeners out there that know any of them personally, let them know. Hey,
Yeah, we'd love to have you
them
on. Yeah, we're fans of the show. And-
I legit am at this point.
I am too.
Like,
Yeah.
it kind of started out as, this is goofy as hell. We'll watch it. Now it's like, I'm invested.
Yep, I'm with you. And don't forget, if one of you watching can Photoshop Bobby Lee's face onto White Goodman's body, grabbing
You
the bull
need
by
to
the horn.
share that like on Instagram or
I
something
will.
where everybody, because I was unfamiliar with that picture, but it is pretty awesome.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if my ego were a little larger, I'd love to have myself on my back. That's kind of like getting your name tattooed largely on you. Like I would love to do that on my own back.
Yeah.
You know, Marcy she would be very turned on if I took my shirt off and that was on my back. But all right, guys, please hit that like button, hit subscribe if you don't already. Share this with your friends. We were just getting started. Hell, man, this show is a fun show to do. And the momentum is rolling with this thing. And I mean, hell, the topics are endless.
That's right.
So, guys, stay on the train with us. We'll catch you next week.
Yep. See y'all then.